What's going on, everybody? Is What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you're now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. And right there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you see a Patreon account. If you click it, become a member. All you got to do is try, recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to. So click the link. Now, with that being said, we're here today to review. This is our day number 10 of In the Month of Madness. We are reviewing or looking at Sinister. Now, Sinister, 2012 horror film that is directed by Scott Derrickson, who has recently done The Black Phone, and he also did the Day Earth Stood Still remake, and then he also did the Exorcism of Emily Rose, I believe, but he's also known for Sinister. Now, Sinister is starring Ethan Hawke, Juliet Rylance, Fred Thompson, James Ransom, and Claire Foley. Now, this movie, I remember this damn movie, this score was the one thing that stood out to me. The shit was so haunting, especially the scene where like the people were getting burned and shit in the car, and it's like, and I swear it sounded like he was saying motherfucker, but I digress. This damn movie really did something to me. Like I saw this movie twice, and we saw it twice within like a week span. I mean, Ethan Hawke did his fucking thing in this movie. Like this movie was something else, and Bagul became like a low key like horror icon because of this movie. Like I even have a Bagul figure in my closet that I need to find a home for to put on my shelf. But again, I digress. Check it out. This movie is all about Ethan Hawke's character. He's a freaking book writer, writes books. Apparently, he wrote one book that was a fucking hit, big hit. Set his whole career off. And ever since then, he's been chasing that fucking that hit. He hasn't been able to do it again. He hasn't been able to do it one more time. But he thinks that this story right here, it could be it. This could be the one that sets him straight for life. They're kind of going broke, kind of losing money, had to move into another house. But Ethan Hawke has alternative motives with this house. This is the house that a family was murdered in, and this is his research that he's conducting for his stories, and he's gotten his family involved. By researching this story, he becomes entangled with what is truly responsible for these murders. It's not a person, it's not a serial killer. It is an entity that's been around mankind for countless of years. The Begul. It's been in history. It's a devourer of children. It's somebody that eats children. Sacrifices. It needs those. So what ends up happening is Ethan Hawke ends up stumbling across these reels, old school film projector and reels. He starts watching them, and he notices off top that this is a video of the murders that transpired. And instead of turning it over to the police, which most likely unless he would have been in possession or watching these tapes thoroughly the whole time, if this would have transpired, what ended up would have happened was they wouldn't be there when he gets back. At least that's what I think. But he decides not to, and he uses it for a basis as his research continues on these killings, because he wants to find out who's responsible for killing, because he thinks that this is a killer killing people and filming himself kill these people, right? That's what he thinks, which is technically true to a smidget, know what I'm saying? As we go through this movie, you see Ethan Hawke's character kind of slipping out of sanity. Like, dude's like really he's losing sleep. He's chasing ghosts at night. He's really starting to lose his groundings in reality. And you can tell that these things are getting to him. Like, you're frequently watching these reels and tapes of people getting murdered, and you're starting to try to like peel back the onion layers and find out what's transpiring. But slowly but surely, you're really just like you're slipping into insanity. So what ends up happening is that he ends up having enough. He gets freaked out. He's finally shaken to the core. This ghost is finally scared his ass because apparently money was the only motivation keeping him there. But eventually he's finally shooken out of that, and he ends up moving back into his old house. Towards the end of the movie, once this happens, he ends up finding the reels again. He ends up finding him at his house. Again, supernatural. This isn't a physical person moving around in the realms of reality. This is somebody moving in and out of the realms of supernaturalness. And he's basically setting forth a chain of events that will continue. But I digress. He ends up finding these reels called the extended cut. And in the extended cut, it reveals who the killer truly is. We think it's this entity, this Bagul, but what's end up turning out, like what they thought it was somebody that worshipped the Bagul was doing these murders. They think it's one person. Nah, it's not. During these murders, the whole family is killed except for one kid. They just disappear. They fall off the face of the earth, and they're never heard from again. What ends up happening is that the kids that never heard from again are the ones that are persuaded by the Bagul, tempted by the Bagul, manipulated by the Bagul in order to kill their family. So Ethan Hawke is sitting there, he's drinking, and he ends up finding this little greenish substance at the bottom of his drink. Passes out, wakes up, daughter's right there. She has an axe. She puts an end to her family and records it. She goes live. Hey guys, I'm live. Murders all the motherfuckers. And then she gets taken to the spiritual realm by the Bagul. Now, this movie was so fucking good, so well received, that it ended up getting a sequel. Sequel's trash though, but that's a conversation for another day. Ethan Hawke did an amazing job in this movie, so let's not act like Ethan Hawke has never dibbled and dabbled in horror. And it's crazy that the movie that he came back to in regards to horror ends up being Black Phone, which is directed by the same man that directed Sinister, which is a movie that he was a part of. So it's really cool when these directors and actors have this really cool connection, this bond where they can kind of like lean on each other for really cool projects. This movie was something else, man. Like it really, like that movie sat with me for a while. That theme, that sound, and all those warped sounds just really fucked with me. And then we were watching it in a really big theater, and you just hear those noises just creaking and grinding and whining. You're just like, oh, like it kind of sends a chill down your spine. And then even when you're watching these grainy ass, like freaking what's the name of it? The type of recording. I forgot the type of recording. Super 8. Like you're watching these grainy ass Super 8 recordings and shit of people getting butchered. It sucks, It looks so realistic, especially the ones like throwing them in a pool, people getting burned to death, the people that got hung. Like all of it looks so real. It's like, damn. But shout out to them, man. Ethan Hawke, this movie was amazing. I love it. This is it's one of those 2000 movies that really sit with you. Like there's not too many movies in the 2000s that really sit with me, that sit highly with me. By the way, like most of my movies that I love are like before the 90s, like 80s, 60s, 70s, all that. It's rarely when you hear like a 2000s movie that gets high praise from me, and this is definitely one of them. It's a very original idea. Loved it all the way through. Ethan Hawke does an amazing job. The whole cast does an amazing job. Kids, mom, everybody, great job. I love this movie. So that is my pick number 10 for day number 10 of In the Month of Madness. Tune in tomorrow to see what I got up my sleeve. Until then, you're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys have a magnificent day. Adios, homies.